Welcome to the Callaway Coaches Show, brought to you by Mark Hubbard and Go Realty, and hosted again tonight by the Carvelo's Pizza Company here in Hogansville. Gentlemen, we are going to be talking first about the girls' week that was at Callaway with the game against Central out of Phoenix City. We got Coach Jeff McGuffin and Coach Mike Petit to talk about this crazy game that was played last week where we saw 9 goals hit the back of the net. So tell us about the good, the bad, and what we can work on.
Again, if you come to watch Callaway soccer game, you're going to get your money's worth. We're going to entertain you because there's lots of goals going in the back of the net. Unfortunately, this time it was them with 6 and us versus 3. Despite that, we felt like we played really well. We did everything we wanted to do offensively and to some degree defensively, except finish on our one side and contain one girl on the other side. I think that one girl had 5.
Yes.
So, you know.
And the one goal that she didn't score was just a beautiful goal from a good, a tough angle. It was just a great shot.
So, you know, we had numbers forward. We had possession of the ball. We were putting a lot of pressure on their backs. We were putting a lot of pressure on their goal. We just couldn't find that consistent goal. We went up 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0.
And then all of a sudden, bang! It was 2-1 at halftime.
Okay.
And one was a beautiful shot, and the other was a ball that got away from their goalkeeper and we couldn't get to in time, and they swept it home. So it was 2-1 at halftime. We felt good. We felt like we were okay. Again, we were the more dangerous team. We kept reiterating, hey, we got to find this girl. We got to find this girl for that number 12. Really good player, good skill, big, strong, fast. Did really and could finish, and she knew what she was doing. Well, you know, she basically was the lone striker up top, and they caught us on a counter 2 or 3 times that we, for whatever reason, were unable to stop. And she finished every time she got the ball. When she went at our goal, she was able to score. From a couple of bad angles, she still hit some good shots, a couple of balls tucked away, and, you know, we look up and we're 4-1. At 4-1, you know, we got to keep sending people forward. You know, yes, I know I need to stop that girl. And Jeff and I are having that conversation. All right, do we go lock this girl up? Or because that means we got to pull somebody out. If we pull somebody out, how are we going to score? But the biggest thing that I'm proud of, and Jeff brought this up, was we got down 4-1 with 20 minutes to play. We didn't quit. Can you talk about that?
No, I mean, that's the first time all year that I felt like you saw Callaway soccer. I mean, we teach them and preach to them hard, fast, and physical. And first game that we actually played with any physicality, I mean, most of the year we've lost 50-50 balls or didn't even really challenge for 50-50 balls. Yet the other night was the first game where, I mean, I was pleased, and talk about heart, you know. I mean, that's the biggest thing. When you go down 4-1, you got to show some heart if you want to come back in that, or keep it respectable. And we cut it to 4-3, and it's unfortunate. I think the 5th goal was another one that, you know, that kind of slipped through, and I think it deflated them a little bit. It allowed that quick 6th goal, but all in all, that was the Callaway team we've been looking for all year. I mean, yes, it sounds weird to say in a loss, but a lot of the young kids grew up, and that game looked more like Callaway soccer.
And we started 3 freshmen that game. You know, a couple of them, you know, one of them got to start for the first time, and they held their own. And then we rolled a bunch of other young ones in there, and they battled and they fought and stuff. That 5th goal was kind of a backbreaker because we had the ball, and we just had a little misplay, and then she took advantage of it and crushed us. If we win that ball, if they don't score that 5th goal, I'd like to think we go on and at least tie it up.
We had the momentum.
Yeah.
I mean, they were reeling at that point in time. You know. So.
Well, I mean, you're still managing, you know, without the services of 2 significant seniors out there, and I think that's a good, you know, testament to the intensity of the team, to be self-aware. Like, hey, they're not going to be putting on their uniforms and coming out here in the second half. We gotta pull ourselves up from this, and it sounds like they did. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, again, that's encouraging when we don't put our heads down, even without some of the players that we had available to us. And again, we were missing 2 other people another starter, Maita wasn't there, and we were missing another role player in Claire who would have given us minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, when you're missing players every single time we come out for whatever reason, and we're constantly reshuffling the deck, it's hard to find that consistency. But Jeff said, we played Callaway soccer for the first time probably this year.
Yeah.
Even though we've won some games, we outmatched some teams and things like that, but in a team that was able to go toe-to-toe with us to some degree, we still held our own and played the way we needed to play, and hopefully that's a launching point for us going forward.
Yeah, and I know there was a couple of standouts in the match, and on the defensive side of things, Norma Trinidad.
Yeah.
So tell us about her game.
I'll let you
So,
talk about more.
another freshman who, we're trying to find that place on the field, because every time she gets on the field, I turn to Jeff and go, we can't take her off. She's got to be on the field. We got to find a spot and stuff. We played her at midfield. We played her in the back. We played her up front. And wherever she was, she just made things happen. And she really did a great job of recovering out of that midfield, winning balls, restarting the attack, coming back 30, 40 yards, winning a ball, restarting the attack. Because, if you look back at our defense, there was literally our two center backs in there by themselves or with that one girl from Central, and everybody else is forward. And she was one coming back, collecting the ball, starting it over. And she would win, when there was a foul or 50-50 ball, she was coming out of the mix every single time. So I couldn't have been more happy with, again, a freshman playing a big role for us.
Yeah, she was, talking about physical and enduring. She came off the field once with just bleeding everywhere where she bit through her tongue. Came and rinsed her mouth out, went right back and went the ball in again. So.
Yeah.
And then from the offensive side, Isla was named our player of the match.
Go ahead on that.
Well, Isla that one was satisfying to see, because Isla, we have really, really worked hard with Isla, and so to see Isla, the light come on per se, because we keep saying, whenever the light comes on with her, she's going to be dangerous, and she scored 2 goals in that game. She stayed wide. We did switch up to 2 forwards, and then when we went too far, I think she scored one of her goals from when we just went with 2
Outside the
strikers.
box.
Yeah, she hit a banger.
Yeah,
it
it was beautiful.
Outside the box in the upper 90.
Cut it to 4-3 at that point.
Yeah.
And again, you saw us just really rolling at that point.
Right, and that's exciting for her. And just going back to last season, because I didn't get to work with the girls program during the preseason, I didn't know any of the new players coming in. So I actually was at a game and saw, I'm like, who is it? Because she's got a presence about her, and I think, her best days are ahead of her. So
Just a sophomore, so
yeah,
for sure.
so it was cool to see her get that, because she's always showed glimpses, of it, and I'm glad she's starting to put things together.
Absolutely.
And she really did need to see need to see
success.
one hit the back of the net. She had a little doubt creep in, and she's battled through. So seeing one hit the back of the net, and then a second one, that's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Confidence start going in the right direction. So, we'll be back in a sec to talk about what's coming up this next week.
Y'all done already?
Well, we're going into the next week,
Okay.
so now it's.
Given the project teams are involved in so much, they usually don't ever come
I have one on my roster now.
from there or
From Trinity.
Okay.
What is this, 3?
Yeah.
Yes, we rolling? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hi, and welcome back to the Callaway Coaches Show, brought to you by Go Realty, again hosted by Carbella's Pizza Company here in Hogansville. Coach Hunter, how we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Coach Petit, you good?
Yeah, doing well.
Okay, hey, we're going to talk first about the week that we had. And this past week was an Alabama week where we played both opponents from the state of Alabama. First was the Station, and then Central out of Phoenix City. So let's take that first game and talk about what we saw against Smith Station.
Well, we saw a really good team show up from Smith Station and gave us a clinic on a couple of things. So while we knew they were going to be good, we did not expect them to be that good. And compliments to them. They got off the bus. They were ready to play. The minute they got off the bus, the whistle blew. They were all over us, and they didn't stop till the second to the last whistle blew. And that's exactly how you want to play. So we learned some lessons that night. Despite, playing, we learned, and I think the guys responded from those lessons Friday. Now, it was an 8-0 loss by Smith Station, and could have probably been worse, to be perfectly honest.
Ball come off the post about 6 times.
Yeah. And they were that good. and we were not that good. We got pressed, we got physical, we got bullied around the field, and we never responded well to it. Now again, we were shuffling some people, we had some key players out, but that's the nature of the game. So were they, because in Alabama you can play 8th grade on the varsity.
Okay.
We cannot do when you play a GHSA school. So they had some 8th graders who weren't playing, who can play at that level. So they were missing guys too. So imagine 8th graders going, right?
Yeah.
And so, when we were done with that game, the very next day, we talked about what happened to us. And we said, that is supposed to be us. That is supposed to be us on the hunt. That is supposed to be us on the press. That is supposed to be us challenging for every ball, flying around the field. But it wasn't, so why not? And I think we had a really good practice that Thursday and really focused in and came out really, really well on Friday.
Well, that leads us to the Central Phoenix City game. Tell us about that one.
Well, I mean, we started off, coming off of Wednesday. Guys took that loss. They didn't take it lightly. And, starting on Thursday, they came out and they worked hard. And they started off a little bit slow. And one of our captains, Grayson Batchelor, I think this was on Thursday, he went up. We were doing a passing pattern, and it just wasn't where it needed to be. The intensity wasn't there. Guys can say all they want to after the game, like, all right, we're going to come practice tomorrow, we're going to work hard, but, the intensity just wasn't there. And Grayson, it wasn't me, Grayson told everybody, it's like, all right, we're getting on the line. And everybody got on the line, he got on the line with them, and they all ran. So it wasn't me. After they got done talking, he dogged them out. I said some few things, and they got back out there and they started working. So maybe it takes Grayson doing that every practice. But
it's at minimum,
Yeah.
that's a leader
Yeah.
that's getting recognized
Yeah.
by his teammates as being, this is the boss.
Yeah.
And
he done that on Thursday, and then came out on Friday, being that leader that he needed to be. Scored 4 goals out of the 5 that we scored. Could have easily been selfish and had 5. One of the goals was off of a pass back to keeper. He's the one that touched it to Ricky. He could have easily said, Ricky, hit this to me, and I'm good. So I do give him some credit for that. But it was an easy game for the most part. Started off early. First 10 minutes we went up 2-0. Then they came back, made it 2-2, and then we scored again to go 3-2 at halftime. We were all right. We felt good about ourselves, and then we went in the second half and scored 2 early goals and did 5-2.
The thing that I liked the best, what I saw from the guys, is our response from Wednesday.
Right.
And we were that team that should have showed up Wednesday night that was wearing white instead of red. And so on Friday, we were flying, we were hunting, we were pressing, we were bullying them, we were physical. We were everywhere we needed to be. I mean, I turned to coach one time and said, oh my gosh, we were flying around the field. I mean, these are some of the fastest and hardest I've seen us play collectively.
And this wasn't a bad team. They were good.
They did. I mean, and they're just like last year. We went to them. We went up. They came back. We went up. They started to make a run. I was like, here we go again. And the guys knew it. The returning guys knew exactly the same story because it's going again. We're up 2-0. They come roaring back. We press the gas again. But we were able to steady everything else with a lot of good possession. We put them into bad situations. We created turnovers and really took advantage of a lot of that with our press. Real happy with that.
And I'm not sure. I think Grayson was probably named your offensive player of the match. Was there a defensive player of the match for the match against Central?
Yeah, defensive player of the match was Andre. The ball really never got back to the back line, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means our holding mids are doing their
Right.
job. And the reason he got it, I think it was halftime of the Smith Station game. I think Petit told him, he was like, look, we ain't seeing nothing. You haven't had the ball enough. You're just non-existent out there. And he took that to heart, and he just showed up on Friday and played his game.
He did a great job of that role of that pivot player, that 6, win a lot of balls in midfield. If you got to blow up something, you're going to blow up something, but then start it over. And he did a good job of tracking, winning balls, distributing, getting forward, tracking, winning balls. And so that's really good. I mean, Andre's a freshman, so this is something that, he's been a starter. He's played almost every single minute of every game we played so far in a very crucial role, and he responded. He's responded really well all year long, but coming off of probably a collectively worse performance, to him step up really says a lot for a freshman. Really happy with that.
And just to double back with the match against Smith Station, were there any offense or defense players of the match?
No.
Smith Station's offense was our defensive player of the match, and Smith Station's defense was our offensive player.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
for sure.
No. Okay. All right. We'll be back in a second to talk about next week.
I mean, coach. Holy crap.
They
The women's coach and stuff. So this is Melanie Baswell, so Mary Kate's mom, and like I said, just team mom extraordinaire, concession stand organizer, runner, everything you could ever want.
Okay.
So just
All right.
personal lifesaver.
All right. Most of the thing I'm going to talk about is probably like concessions and
Yeah.
your involvement with the organization of getting people to work for.
I don't want to ask that question.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not always our fault. And I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
People have different situations.
Yeah.
We good, Hunter?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one's which.
No, I mean we good on.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid about his food and anything. All right, here we go.
All right.
Um,
Hey, good evening and welcome back to the Callaway Coaches Show. We are joined with not only Coach Mike Petit, but with Melanie Baswell. And she is Mary Kate's mom and proud supporter of Callaway Athletics, but specifically with soccer programs. She's going to talk to us a little bit tonight about her role and with concessions. And we are getting a little concert here as this is happening. But Melanie, how are we doing tonight?
we're doing great.
Good.
Excited for tomorrow.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit how I mean I think there's probably an obvious answer to this, but tell us how you got involved, roped in, or whatever to this role of organizing this concession.
Well, I mean, I guess, with seasons changing and people moving on and things like that, it was time for them to have someone else in the concession stand. So my husband and I stepped in and started helping with that and just volunteering and roping some other people in to help us. And we have a good core group that you can always count on, and others who jump in whenever, it's needed. So it's really a great opportunity.
Well, I want to kind of run through a little bit about what your evening is like on game night. And let's first talk about, let's say the girls aren't playing. And like this past week, you had Smith Station boys on Wednesday night. Tell us how, I think there was a middle school game before that,
was,
right?
yeah.
So tell us kind of like what you do to kind of get set up and how many people are helping you. And then we'll talk about the girls here in a second.
So I will say I have a wonderful job in the school system that allows me to have an earlier shift. So I can get off and get to the soccer field at like 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Which is wonderful because
And you teach?
no, I'm the family liaison at Hogansville Elementary.
Okay, all right.
So that allows me to get there, in a good amount of time. And then I have another dad who comes and does all the grilling for us.
Okay.
And I've had that, since we started doing the grilling, which is wonderful that his schedule works that way too. And so we just get there and start grilling and now we have the popcorn machine and we just get the nachos and all the good stuff ready. We get to meet with other teams, they'll come by and chit chat with us, meet with parents, and it's really a great time, just really setting up, getting the trash and all that stuff ready, just trying to make sure we're ready for the first people that come in.
What is the most unique way that you take your funds in? If somebody says, I don't have cash, do you take?
Cash App. I even have taken Venmo, and then you just send it over to the Cash App for soccer.
No one's asked if I can write a check, though.
Right, no, not yet, not yet. We've got some coins. We have had
Okay.
a few people that don't tell Coach T that we've let slide maybe. If they've come from like Alabama,
Right.
and they don't know,
Right.
so we try to help everybody
That's
out.
awesome. So, I was kind of curious about that because I've been stuck in those situations myself as a coach going to recruit. I'm like, man, I got 2 more hours here, and I'm gonna get something, but I'm hungry now.
Right.
What do they have? And then I'm looking at my wallet, and I'm like, well, I didn't stop by the bank or whatever. What do they have? And typically we can find Zelle or Venmo or something these
Right.
days that are going to kind of help you out. There's these obscure places, I guess, that I go to. Sometimes it's like cash only, and I'm like, well, all right, I guess I'm going to be hungry here. So
Right. Well,
So-
it has been great going to other schools, like
Yeah,
with
just
other
see how they
sports.
do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I've taken pictures of their boards and
Awesome.
what they charge for things, and just try to learn some things. We have one grandmother that helps us, who has ran the concessions at Faith Baptist Church for years,
Awesome.
and she has been wonderful to help me out and teach me some things. So.
Okay. But the bottom line is, you've got a senior soccer player on
Right.
the girls' team, and when that game's about to start, you would like to see it. So
Right.
what happens then? Like,
So the people usually, they're usually there,
Yeah.
15 minutes to 30 minutes ahead of time.
are you texting them like, "Hey, my daughter's about
no.
to play"?
I do send them an obnoxious email like the day before
Okay.
or a text. I'm like, hey,
That's
you're
far
going to be there
from
tomorrow.
obnoxious.
Like, you're going to be there tomorrow, right? Because,
Yeah.
the game's at this time. So I do try to do reminders. We all need reminders.
Right.
But they have all been very good about that. And I have my number posted if they
Right.
need something during the game.
Right, that's what I was wondering too. You're in the middle of the game, it's a good game, and all of a sudden, hey, can you come help us for a second? And so I can't imagine that
I
being
might
a
have had
pleasant
that this week,
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah,
About
so-
cream for the coffee. I was
Oh,
like,
gosh.
tell them they may have to add a little extra sugar. We'll get more for next week.
Yeah,
But
I'm pretty sure they're understandable.
they are. They're really good. And then the next set of parents come right in,
Right.
and
And so that's the
transition.
other thing too. You basically are training them
Right.
on what they need to be doing and what they need to be looking out for.
Right.
So how's that been going?
It goes well. It's just I think you get so used to doing something that sometimes you forget certain things. So I have typed some things up and hung them up, and just little reminders and things that I had to learn.
Yeah.
So
What do we run out of? Like consistently, like we're out of this again.
Jalapenos.
Okay.
Really?
That is the
I
strangest
would
thing.
would not
For
think
the
we went out of that
nachos,
very
For the
often.
nachos, the last
Yeah.
couple of games, that's what we ran out of. It's like they can't get enough.
Yeah.
But it's not always that way.
Right. Not everybody wants them. Right. It
Right.
seems those that want them want all of them.
Yes. That's a strange thing, but it is true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
would
been a
think
weird
it might
thing.
be okay. We ran out of hot dogs. We don't have cheese for the burgers, or
Unfortunately, I always overcook,
Okay.
I think.
So what
But
Well,
happened?
the coaches are very thankful when she
Yeah. So
overcooks.
I
Right.
imagine
There's a little bit
that
left
food
over.
does not go to waste.
between coaches and players, we try to share it around,
Right.
but you don't ever know really how to
Well,
plan.
and I mean, I know some of these kids, that might be the only thing they're going to eat that night.
Right. That's
but-
exactly right.
So, I mean, it's probably doing them pretty good service.
Especially when they're coming from out of town.
Right.
A lot of the ones, and they're having to travel back, and some of them, the girls and boys will share a bus.
Right.
So like they're there
They're
for a
starving.
long time, right? So it really works out well, I think.
That's awesome. So,
Well, I just wanted to jump in
Go.
and say, because Melanie's being way too humble
Okay.
and that kind of stuff. So, Melanie has been such a blessing to me personally because I have to think zero about anything in that concession
Yeah.
stand. From going to buy the stuff at Sam's to having it stocked, having it cleaned, having it cooked, having it ready, having it organized, having people there. I don't think twice about it. And it is such a great thing to know that that is going so well and such a relief for me. And she's just way too humble to say that that's how much of a big role she plays. The value she brings to the program from that standpoint, for me personally, but from a monetary standpoint, because we do so well with our concessions, we get two compliments every single game. It's how great the field looks and how awesome the concessions are.
yes.
Every single time. And probably the concessions are first before the field because they love the food. The people up there are so awesome, that are so friendly and so nice and so willing and accommodating, and it starts with her. And so I could not do a single thing that I do as much as I do it without her doing it. So thank you so much.
Wow, it's always great, when you've got that type of support that you don't have to, because you